Good morning, friends. I hope everyone is doing well. I request everyone to watch my videos in a sequence for better understanding. If you really like my videos, please press the like button, share the videos with your friends, subscribe to my channel, and also press the bell button to get the regular updates. In this video, I want to discuss about classless inter-domain routing. In shortcut, even we will call it as CIDR. Now, before discussing about the classless inter-domain routing, let me discuss what are the drawbacks in classful. Till now, if you see the sequence of my videos coming to the IP addressing, we have discussed about the classful IP addressing. What is meant by classful IP addressing? The IP addresses are divided into various classes, consists of class A, class B, class C, class D and class E. Coming to them, class A, okay, coming to the class A, in the classful IP addressing, we have 24 bits are allocated for the host ID and 8 bits are allocated for the network ID. Out of 32 bits address of the IP address, 8 bits are allocated for the network ID and 24 bits are allocated for the host ID. Coming to the class B, first 16 bits are allocated for the network ID and the next 16 bits are allocated for the host ID. Coming to the class C, 24 bits are allocated for the network ID and 8 bits are allocated for the host ID. And class D is used for multicasting and class E is used for the futures. Okay. Now coming to this one, if we divide like this, what will happen? Now come to the class A. Now in the class A, you can have the networks from 1 to 126. Totally you will have 126 networks. Okay. Are you able to understand it or not? In these networks, in one network, let's you take that one network you have taken out of this 126 networks. If you take one network, how many hosts you can have or how many IP addresses you can have? The 2 power 24 IP addresses you can have and you can have 2 power 24 minus 2 hosts. Is it clear? Because you will have 2 power 24 IP addresses will be there. However, 2 IP addresses you cannot assign to any host, which is all zeros in the host ID part and all ones in the host ID part. Why it's so, I have discussed in earlier videos. Okay. Now, what will be the problem? If someone purchased one network, he can use 2 power 24 minus 2 hosts, he can do it. But let's take that his choice is that he want to purchase the 100 IP addresses only. Are you able to understand? So he cannot go for class A. Why it is that he can keep 2 power 24 minus 2 hosts. Only out of that, if he is using 100 hosts, then remaining things are wastage. Am I right or wrong? Obviously the price of this one will be very high and he cannot afford. If he goes for the class B, he can have 2 power 16 minus 2 hosts. Obviously this one also will be costly, but his requirement is only 100 hosts. He cannot go for this one. If he goes for class C, 2 power 8 minus 2, which is 256 minus 2, 254 hosts he can deploy if he take one of the network from the class C. How many networks will be there in the class C? 2 power 24 networks will be there, and in each network you will have 2 power 8 minus 2 hosts. So which is 254 hosts you can deploy. But however his requirement is 100. If he takes one of the class C network, he will waste or 154 hosts will be underutilized. Am I right? One is that he cannot afford the cost. If he takes the cost, he is very rich, he has purchased it. However, 154 hosts are underutilized. Is it clear? So this is the problem if we go for the classful IP addressing. So that's why people have gone for classless. How it's so, how it will work, all these things we will discuss. Now, in classless, to make you understand, let me take one small example. Okay. you went to Dominance Pizza. Okay, due to lockdown you cannot go, but however, let's say that after Corona completely solved, then you went to Dominance Pizza, okay, with two of your friends, and you have ordered one large size pizza, okay, and then let's take that you are not hungry and your friends are hungry. Then what you will do? You will take only small piece whatever you want. Is it clear? The person who is hungry, he will take more, and the person who is not hungry will take the small one. Are you able to understand? If you go for the class full, everyone has to take the equal share. The person who wants to eat small one, the remaining will be wasted for him. Are you able to understand it or not? Is it clear? So, now we will discuss about the classless interdomain routing. The same example will work. Okay, you have set of IP addresses. Okay, now you need only 100 IP addresses. Then you take only 100 hosts only. 100 IP addresses you take and assign to one each host in your network. Then you want, suppose let's take that someone want 200. Take the collection of 200 IP addresses and assign. So whatever you want, whatever is your requirement, that one only you will purchase. You will not purchase more or you will not purchase the less. So then it will satisfy your requirements also. So this kind of interdomain routing, we will call it as a classless interdomain routing. Here we will not have any classes. You can ask me one question, sir. When it comes to the classful, based on the class, I can say that how many bits are there for the network ID, how many bits are there for the host ID. It is very simple for me. Based on, suppose let's take that someone has given 10.1.2.0. Then by looking at the first one decimal, it is 10. Then I can say that, sir, this is falling in the range of class A, because class A comes from 1 to 126 and class B comes from 128 to 191. Class C comes in from the range of 192 to 223. From 224 to 239 will come to class D. 240 to 255 will come in the class C. You know these ranges. Already I have discussed how to remember these ranges also. So you will say that this will come in the class A. So if it is a class A, 8 bits are there for the network ID, 24 bits are there for the host ID. So I could able to distinguish how many bits are there in the network ID, how many bits are there in the host ID. But you are saying that classless. In the classless, how can I recognize how many bits are there for the network ID, how many bits are there in the host ID? When it comes to the classless IP address, the IP address will be represented in the form of dotted decimal. Obviously, any IP address will be represented in the dotted decimal. Then you can ask me, what is the difference here? You will have \n. Okay, the classless IP address will be represented as some a.b.c.d/n. Then what is this \n? We know that, suppose let's take that 10.1.2.3. This we know, this is the IP address. As it is a 32-bit address, we are representing it in a dotted decimal representation. Now what is this n? Let's take this n value is 10. Okay, then meaning is that out of 32 bits, you know that IP address version 4 is 32 bits. Out of this 32 bits, n bits are allocated for the network ID. This is very important. N bits are allocated for the network ID. 32 minus n bits are allocated for the host ID. This you please note down it. Okay. So if it is a classless IP address representation, it will be represented as a.b.c.d/n. Then n represents n number of bits are allocated for the network ID and 32 minus n bits are allocated for the host ID. Obviously, the first n bits are the network ID, remaining 32 minus n bits will be the host ID. Now, let me take this example. In this example, 10 bits are allocated for the network ID and 22 bits are allocated for the host ID. So you can easily say how many bits are allocated for the network ID, how many bits are allocated for the host ID. Is it clear? Your problem is solved. Now you can ask me another question. Sir, I need 100. Can I take like this? Or let's take that. I need 100 IP addresses. Can I take 10 from here, 10 from here, 10 from here? Like that, can I take it? No, you cannot take it. But in real time, it will be happen. Because let's take that someone want to take a pizza and it is a paneer pizza. He will take paneer slices only. He will not eat the pizza. Is it clear? Are you able to understand? In real time, if for the pizza example, it will work. But in the coming to the CIDR block, we'll say that it is a block of IP addresses. Okay, I am giving an example as 100, but it should not be 100. It should be power of 2 power n's. Meaning is power of 2 power n means 2 power n's. It should be 2, 4, 8 IP addresses, 16, 32. Just for your example, I am telling it as 100. Okay, are you able to understand it or not? So now we will discuss about rules for CIDR block. This is very important. Please note down the rules for the CIDR block. Meaning is that if you want to take a block of IP addresses, what are the rules you should follow? Rules for CIDR block. The first rule is that all the IP addresses should be contiguous. All the IP addresses should be continuous or should be contiguous. Okay. Okay. And the next rule is that the IP addresses, whatever you want to ask, it should be of power like this, 2 power n. Meaning is that you can ask 2 IP address block or 4, 6, not 6, sorry, 8, 16, 32, so on. Like this you can ask. Okay, you should not ask 10 IP addresses, 12 IP addresses, like that you should not ask. What are the IP addresses you are asking? It should be in the power of 2 power n. Means it should be in the form of 2 power n. Okay, and the next one is that the first IP address in the block, okay, first IP address in the block should be exactly divisible by size of the block. These are the 3 rules you should remember. Okay, first rule is that what are the IP addresses you are asking, they should be continuous. Okay, and another one is they should be in the form of 2 power n. Meaning is that you can ask 2 IP addresses, you can ask 4, 8, 16, 32, so on. And coming to the third rule is that the first IP address in the block, okay, should be exactly divisible by the size of the block. Meaning is that the remainder you should get 0. Are you able to understand it or not? So now let me discuss this concept with an example. I request you to please note down these points. Okay, I hope you have noted down. If you have noted down that, please pause the video and please note down them. Okay, now let me discuss this concept with a simple example or a small example I will take. Okay, let's take that I have 193, okay, dot 1.0, okay, 193.1.2.1, 193.1.2.2, so on. I am asking 193.1.2.63. This is the IP addresses I want to take. Can I take it as a one single block or not? We will discuss. Is it clear? Are you able to understand? These are the IP addresses: 193.1.2.0, 193.1.2.1, so on up to 193.1.2.64. Now you have to check it. whether they are continuous or not. They are continuous. If you convert this number into binary number and if you check it, all of them will be continuous, because this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, so on 63. So they all are continuous. The first rule is satisfied. What is the first rule? All the IP addresses, whatever you want to take, they should be contiguous. Done. The first rule is done. What is the second rule? They should be in the form of 2 power n. What is the number of IP addresses are there? The number of IP addresses in this one is 64. Will you agree it or not? 0 to 63 is 64. So what is the size of this one? Is 2 power 6. So which is in the form of 2 power n. Whatever the size of the IP addresses you are asking, they should be in the form of 2 power n. Yeah, the second rule is also satisfied. What is the third rule? The first IP address. What is the first IP address here? 193.1.2.0 should be divisible by the size of the block. What is the size of the block here? 64, which is nothing but 2 power 6. We will check it whether it will be divisible by 2 power 6 or not. Meaning is that the remainder should be 0. Okay. Now remember one thing. If you have to do this one, you should know this concept. If you take 110, if you divide by 2, okay, then you will get the remainder as 0 and you will get the quotient as 3. If you want to verify, you can verify. Without converting this one into decimal number, I have said. How I said is that if you take it 110, convert into decimal number. What is 110? This is 2 power 1, 2 power 2. So 2 power 2 plus 2 power 1 is nothing but 6. Am I right or wrong? So if you divide 6 by 2, you will get the remainder as 0 and you will get the quotient as 3. Then you can ask me, sir, how you have done? It is very simple. 2 can be written as 2 power 1. Meaning is that among these 3 bits, first bit will be the remainder and next 2 bits will be the quotient. Convert them into decimal, you will get it as 0 and 3. Okay. If you want to verify, I can discuss with another example also. Take 110, same thing. You divide by 4. 4 can be written as 2 power 2. So the meaning is that the first 2 bits will be the remainder. Okay. 10 can be written as 2 in the decimal. So 2 is the remainder and quotient will be 1. If you convert 1 into decimal, you will get 1. If you want to verify, you can verify. This is 6. If you divide by 4, you will get 1 as the quotient and remainder you will get it as a 2. That is what I said. Okay. If you want to take for a large number also, you can take. Please note down these shortcuts. Okay. 11110 divided by 2 power 3. Meaning is that you are dividing by 8. It should be, this one will be valid only if this one is 2 powers. Okay. Now you can verify the first 3 bits will be the remainder 100. If you convert into decimal number, you will get 4. And the quotient will be the remaining bits. What is the remaining bits? 1. You convert into decimal, you will get 3. Am I right? So you convert this number into what you call decimal and you can verify. You will get the remainder as 4 and quotient will be 3. So I hope you have understood. If I want to check, let's take this example. If I want to check 11100 will be successfully divisible by 2 power 2 or not. If I say that it is successfully divisible by 2 power 2, then the remainder should be 0. So the meaning is that the first 2 bits should be zeros. Is it clear? Then only I can say that the remainder is 0. So why I am discussing this one is, I want to tell whether the remainder of this one will be 0 if I divide by 2 power 6 or not. How I will check? You convert this number into binary number, and the first 6 bits means from the LSB, if you have 6 zeros, then you can say that it is successfully divisible by 64. Then I can say that this block you can take it as a CIDR block. Okay, let me take this one. 193, I will write it as 193. 1.2, this 0 only I will convert into binary number because it should be divisible by 2 power 6. So first 6 bits only I need to verify whether they are zeros or not. So 0 if I convert into binary number and represent in 8 bits, then I will get 8 zeros. Okay, divided by 2 power 6. So this remainder will be 0. Am I right or wrong? Because 6, where is 6? These 6 zeros are there. So I can say that this is the remainder and the remaining part will be the quotient. So I can say that if remainder is 0, what I can say? This is successfully divisible by, meaning is that first IP address in the block is successfully divisible by the entire block size, which is 2 power 6. So I can say that even the third rule is also satisfied. If the third rule is also satisfied, I can say that I can take this block. Okay, I can take this block of IP address and assign to someone. Now you can ask me, sir, if this is the block, how to represent the block address? Am I right or wrong? Is it clear? How to represent the block address is the first IP address in the block will be act as a block ID. Are you able to understand? To recognize a block, we need a block ID. If we want to recognize a network, we need a network ID. If we want to recognize one subnet, we need a subnet ID. Am I right or wrong? Even some people then call it as a block ID or network ID because they will say that this entire block I will consider as a network. Then it will be considered as a network ID. Don't get confused whether it is a block ID or network ID or subnet ID. All are same only to recognize that block or a network or a subnet. Okay. Now, how should I represent this one? 193.1.2.0 by, now you tell me, how many hosts are there in this one? 64 hosts are there. That's what we said, that this block size is 64. So 64 hosts are there. Then how many bits you need for the host ID? 6 bits are required. Am I right? Is it clear? If 6 bits are required for the host ID, out of 32 bits, 6 bits you required for the host ID, how many bits will be there for the network ID? 26 bits. So this can be represented as 193.1.2.0/26. Meaning is that first 26 bits are assigned for the network ID and remaining 6 bits are allocated for the host ID, so that you have 64 hosts are there in this block. So I hope you have understood what is the classless interdomain routing, what is the drawback of classful addressing, and then what are the rules you need to check before assigning a block. Okay, I hope you have understood all this concept. In the next video, I will discuss how to performing the subnet for this block. Even for a block we can subnet. Okay, we will discuss all these concepts in the next video. If you still have any doubts related to this concept, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I will try to clear your doubts in less than 24 hours. If you really like my teaching and my efforts, please press the like button, share the videos with your friends, subscribe to my channel, and also press the bell button to get the regular updates. Thank you for watching my video. Have a nice day.